They also found a Stack exchange with that name. The account mostly posted about math, but 3 months before the attack, he asked a question about executing flash loans on Ethereum. Next, there's a Wikipedia account. His first post was a bit egotistic. After that, he made an edit to a page about a game show for high school students. It edited the alumni section to add a name that matches the previously found email address. Googling the name led to his personal website. The website was down, but had been cached by Google about 16 hours before the attack. It stated that he is a master's student at the University of Waterloo studying pure mathematics, and he has an interest in cryptocurrency. 20 minutes before the ultimatum deadline, the website was back up with the references to cryptocurrency deleted. It linked to his resume, which contained his birthday. It was at this moment that the team realized they were dealing with an 18-year-old. This took them by surprise and raised some serious ethical concerns. Suddenly, the investigation halted. Andy had taken 10th grade math in elementary school, graduated from high school at 14, and completed his bachelor's in 3 years. When Index went live, he had just started working on his master's degree. Andy was truly a genius for his age. He was also a skilled coder, regularly participating in contests to find security flaws in systems. He took an interest in decentralized finance, particularly the mechanisms of automated market makers. He estimated that he spent hundreds of hours playing around with the math behind them, experimenting with the profitability of different strategies. He then wrote bots that would execute arbitrage trades on those platforms, turning a small profit and helping the pools run more efficiently. After discovering Indexed, Andy obsessed over its code and noticed a mispricing opportunity. At first, I didn't believe it, but on paper, it worked. He spent the next month writing a script to exploit the vulnerability. However, as advanced as he was academically, his social maturity lagged. One former classmate described him as being self-confident to the point of arrogance, and openly condescending to students he deemed less intelligent. Whenever he did or said something, he believed it was infallible, the absolute truth. The classmate also says he heard him speak favorably about white supremacy and eugenics. In fact, Andy wasn't so subtle about this. The Ethereum address he used for the hack was custom generated to start with 0x based 1488. He also included a racial slur in his code. These blatant ties to extremist thinking helped Index justify doxing Andy despite his age. And if he's smart enough to steal $16 million, he's adult enough to face the legal consequences. Still, this was a difficult decision, and they wanted to give him one last chance. Maybe he should be given a bit more time to consider the true magnitude of the situation. After all, if law enforcement got involved, the consequences on his life could be devastating. In a final attempt to provide him a way out, Dylan messaged Andy on his personal phone number, stating once again that he's been identified and will be reported to law enforcement unless he gives the money back. And his response? At this point, any debates over the ethical implications were over. The team published the final blog post, hired a lawyer, and contacted the police. While the team was busy investigating the case, Andy was busy trolling on Twitter. He wrote a poem and taunted the team for their response. He called what he did arbitrage and claimed that users were simply outtraded. In the end, he said he was looking for the most elite crypto lawyers. While Andy clearly stole money from Indexed, the legal implications are uncertain. This is because Indexed itself was never technically hacked. Indexed is just a set of smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. Think of it like a global computer where you can program stuff. But these smart contracts aren't so smart, as they execute everything strictly to what the code says. In this case, Andy was not breaking any of the smart contract's rules. He only manipulated them in a way to achieve an outcome nobody expected. I'll make another video explaining exactly how the hack worked, but to summarize, Andy used $157 million in flash loans to artificially manipulate prices. This tricked the smart contract to think the index fund was 380 times cheaper than it should be. Finally, he bought a ton of these index funds at this price and redeemed them to drain nearly all the underlying tokens. Dylan was aware that this could be a possible pathway for attacks. He spent at least 2 weeks looking into it, but couldn't find any errors, nor could 2 security researchers he paid to examine the code. Unfortunately, if you don't find the bug, someone else will, and then you're at their mercy for whatever they decide to do. Andy believes what he did was perfectly legal. It wasn't a hack, but rather a complex series of transactions that exploited the operational logic of the smart contracts. This is the idea of code is law. However, this is a relatively controversial doctrine within the crypto community. Most people on Ethereum will argue that code isn't law, law is law. In that case, Andy would have violated statutes against market manipulation and computer hacking.